Hey, listeners. Welcome to Straight Wife, Trans Life. I'm Lisa, and I planned on discussing a different topic for this episode until March 27th, when a transgender person opened fire at their former school in Nashville, Tennessee. Almost immediately, individuals from online trolls to individuals in Congress used this tragic incident, where 3 kids around my son's age and 3 adults were killed, as more fuel against transgender people. The number of laws being introduced right now to eliminate the rights of transgender kids and adults in the United States is staggering, and all it is hate and discrimination. So, for this episode, I want to shed light on what it takes for a person, your fellow human, to come out as transgender and why it can mean life or death. Fair warning, this episode is a heavy one. A wife walks outside with her flashlight in Central Florida, looking for her husband of 50 years, and finds him holding a rope with a noose, and he looks at her and says that he couldn't find a branch. Let that sink in. He couldn't find a branch to hang himself. This couple met in 1968, and for even longer, this woman's husband, who has since transitioned in her 70s, held inside how different she felt since she was a kid. And this story stays with me. I think about it a lot. And it is from a show titled We're Here on HBO Max. It is hosted by Shangela, Bob the Drag Queen, and Eureka O'Hara, all former contestants on RuPaul's Drag Race, a show that I've watched since season 1. So the 3 queens travel across America to raise visibility and share the love of individuals and families similar to this couple. People from the LGBTQ plus community who just want to be free to be themselves and are often navigating life in smaller towns where acceptance tends to be low. This couple I mention is featured in season 3, and I will include links in the podcast episode description. And the transitioning spouse says to her wife, "You saved my life." And it sticks with me because now that I'm in a similar situation, I often wonder about the suicide factor. In my support groups, a lot of people have shared how depressed or moody their spouse or partner was before transitioning. And sometimes that depression stays when a transgender person doesn't feel supported or for other reasons. So I really wonder how many transgender people across the globe, worldwide, don't have the support they need and have attempted or succumbed to suicide. It is a grim thought, but it is a reality that I see here in the U.S., with legislation moving forward or being passed to stop transgender people from getting equal rights. Suicidal thoughts and attempts among transgender adults are statistically much higher than that of the U.S. general population, and the UCLA Williams Institute has an extensive report about this. The link is, of course, in the podcast description. The following statistics are verbatim from the Williams Institute website, and this report was based on 27,715 respondents who came from all 50 U.S. states, 3 U.S. territories, as well as overseas military bases. So verbatim, the 2015 U.S. Transgender Survey, which is the largest survey of transgender people in the U.S. to date, found that 81.7% of respondents reported ever seriously thinking about suicide in their lifetimes, while 48.3% had done so in the past year. In regard to suicide attempts, 40.4% reported attempting suicide at some point in their lifetimes, and 7.3% reported attempting suicide in the past year. That's the end of the verbatim part. But these numbers are too high. We need to treat people better. The report includes unique reasons for suicide thoughts or attempts from the survey. And reasons include stigma, violence against a transgender person, rejection from family, denial of equal treatment, wanting gender affirming care and not receiving it, and even after receiving gender affirming care, some transgender people feel suicidal or attempt suicide, and that may be because they still feel rejected or etc. In my spouse's case, there were never suicidal thoughts. She's always been steady as a rock. And I really had no idea that she felt different since childhood. I could probably dissect this and pick at things, but I don't see the point. This huge feeling that my spouse had was finally just too much to push down, and she had to come out as transgender, or suicide may have been next. And she is really lucky. She's got a support system around her. But even with that support, it sometimes isn't enough. Right now, her company, which is based in a different state, is rejecting some of her gender affirming care, which is part of our rights in our state. And beyond that, it is federally mandated by the Affordable Care Act. And her insurance company, which is selected by her company that claims to support diversity, is still making my spouse go through the appeals process. And before my eyes, I'm watching the person I love crumble because they cannot get the care they need. My spouse said that if there was a reverse pill to take away being transgender, she would take it. And when she told me that, I asked, where did you come up with this idea of a reverse pill? She said her brother, who is anti-transgender, told their mom that if my spouse was taking all these hormone pills to change her gender, why can't she just take a pill to reverse it? That's not how it works. And this type of treatment and anti-LGBTQ plus mindset is why my spouse says she didn't even try to come out when she was younger and instead chose to stuff all these feelings down, like many adults coming out as transgender opt to do. Across the U.S. right now, there are more than 450 anti-LGBTQ plus bills that various states are trying to pass. The ACLU is tracking them, and you know it, I will include the link. So, who willingly wants to come out as transgender in this climate? I mean, all these anti this and that, it is not a choice. Some of us are just wired differently. And here's the thing. These anti-transgender laws that states are trying to pass don't just hurt the transgender child or transgender adult. These bills hurt the entire family and friends. They hurt the parents who are doing their best to support their transgender child who is now thriving. They hurt the transgender parent who just wants to get the care he or she needs to pass as the gender they were meant to be so they can focus on family and work. They hurt the children of transgender parents who love their parent no matter what shape they morph into. They hurt family members who want the people they love to feel whole and not avoid family functions or feel suicidal and depressed. And they hurt anyone who knows a transgender person and just wants them to live a happy, normal life. So if you are transgender, or if you know someone who is transgender or has a loved one who is transgender, I'm going to include more links in the podcast description regarding resources for legal help if you or they are not getting the care that they need. Please don't give up. And for my fellow spouses or partners or ex-spouses or ex-partners of a transgender person, I know we didn't sign up for this, but dig deep and keep your transgender person safe. Until next time, let's keep moving forward.